Hello, I've taken the opportunity to look at the end-of-year messages from some of our political leaders, so you don't have to. I've chosen 3, not at random, but deliberately. I have chosen Keir Starmer, who, unbelievably, is our Prime Minister.
Things have been tough in Britain for a while. For many, life is still harder than it should be.
Nigel Farage, whose Reform Party is polling on an average 10% above all other political parties across all polls.
The government, the authorities, simply don't seem to care.
And Zack Polanski, who is a political leader, obviously of the Green Party.
I want to talk to you about wood.
Anyway, before I looked at their messages, I thought I would look at the Ipsos polling, who back in autumn of 2025 asked this question: what do you see as the most important issues facing Britain today? Now, I chose Ipsos because whilst they probably shouldn't have a political bias, the consensus is their political bias is centre-left, so different from mine. So let's have a look at what the poll results are. So the pollsters spoke to 1,002 adults, which is humans 18 plus, between the 1st and 7th of October in 2025. So topping the poll, immigration/immigrants on 47%, the economy in second place on 33%, NHS/hospitals/healthcare in at third place on 24%. And going down the list, inflation prices 22%, lack of faith in politics, politicians and the government 14%, defence, foreign affairs and international terrorism 12%, also on 12%, poverty/inequality, education/schools and housing. Just below that, on 11% is crime/law and order, and then right at the very bottom, pollution/the environment/climate change, also on 9%. Okay, so given this information, which is telling us what the people, the public of Great Britain are most concerned about, let's listen to the end of year messages to see who's most in tune. Okay, let's start with our esteemed leader, shall we? Sir Keir Starmer, the man who's been at the wheel all year, so must, of course, understand everything that's going on.
Things have been tough in Britain for a while. For many, life is still harder than it should be. You long for a bit more money in your pockets, a meal out, a holiday, the chance to make a special family moment extra special.
Okay, so already I think off to a bit of a shaky start on the basis that there's no fluidity about the way Keir Starmer talks. Now, maybe you can or cannot hold that against him. That's for you to decide. But for me, I think to be an excellent communicator, which you need to be, I think, if you're at the top of Great British politics, you shouldn't be this shaky. You should be in command. And by the way, is this really what people are most concerned about? That's not what the polls show, is it? I haven't heard anyone say to me, I just wish I could go out with my family and make it extra special every time. I've heard people say things like, I wish London wasn't so stabby. And why is everybody getting graped?
In 2026, the choices we've made will mean more people will begin to feel positive change in your bills, your communities and your health service. But even more people will feel once again a sense of hope, a belief that things can and will get better. Feel that the promise of renewal can become a reality. And my government will make it that reality.
Right. Maybe Keir Starmer's been on the disco biscuits over Christmas, but there isn't anybody, I don't even think within his cabinet, let alone the rest of the country, that believes that this man and his sidekick, Rachel Reeves, are instilling hope in the country. Hope. I don't think they understand what hope is.
Police on the streets by March, energy bills down, and the number of new health hubs up in April.
By the way, energy bills down? Down by about 0.3% from an incredibly high point. Nobody's going to feel the benefit of that. Absolutely nobody. And that's because we do not have a sovereign fuel supply. Much thanks to this government, actually, and the previous Conservative government. We are hell-bent on green zealotry, which is making everybody poorer.
More funding for local communities. And with that change, decline will be reversed. That opportunity for you and pride in your community can be restored. I share the frustration about the pace of change. The challenges we face were decades in the making, and renewal is not an overnight job. But putting our country back on a stable footing will become our strength. Strength that means we can support you with the cost of living. Rail fares, prescription charges, fuel duty, all frozen.
All frozen at very high prices. I'm an asthmatic. I have regular prescriptions. I have seen them go from £6 to £10 essentially just in the last 2 or 3 years. And they've been frozen at £10. Brilliant. Thanks, Starmer.
£150 cut from your energy bill.
Like I said, £150 cut from our energy bills. But our energy bills are exorbitant. Costs thousands a year to heat the average family home in the UK. Thousands. So taking off 150 quid, whilst it's better than nothing, it's not going to change people's view of the world, really, is it?
A boost once again to the national minimum wage. A major cut to the cost of childcare.
The national minimum wage going up is actually preventing employers from A, taking on young people, B, taking on people that aren't young, and C, making sure they don't take on anyone because they can't afford to, because wages have gone through the roof.
We are getting Britain back on track. By staying the course, we will defeat the decline and division offered by others. For all the times that have been tough, I hope the festive period has brought good moments, precious time with your family, a chance to celebrate what's most important to you. I wish you more of those moments next year, when things start to feel easier, when politics shows it can help again, when Britain turns the corner, with our future now in our control. The real Britain will shine through more strongly. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. No one believes this man is the man providing us with a Happy New Year, by the way. And not one mention in that whole entire video of the one issue that is impacting the people most. Immigration, illegal immigration, and the boat people crisis. Not one mention. Not one mention. I tell you why. Because they don't want to fix it. They are more than happy with it. He talked a little bit then about things being within our control. Well, that is thanks to Brexit. But he's not going to tell you that. He's never going to tell you how we arrived at this point. So the biggest issue facing the UK today didn't even make his end-of-year message. Not one thing. But he promised hope. Hope? I don't think so, Starmer, my old son. OK, well, that's over. Let's take a look at Nigel Farage and the reform message for 2026, shall we? First of all, calming music. Now, I know everything's propaganda in one way or the other, but calming music. I'm already interested in what he has to say.
As 2025 draws to a close, I can't remember the country ever being gloomier. People are getting poorer, more people are becoming unemployed, inflation is proving sticky, and our debt is running completely out of control with a Chancellor who doesn't seem to have a clue what she's doing.
So, straight in with issue number 2, the economy. Largely Rachel Reeves, obviously backed by Sir Keir Starmer.
Worse than that, people are frightened now to walk down the street wearing a watch, wearing jewellery. Oh, and by the way, if you say anything rude on Facebook, you may well get a knock at the door.
So we're less than 30 seconds in, and he's mentioned the biggest issues. Obviously indirectly there, talking about people feeling unsafer. Well, there's a reason for that, isn't there?
Well, I've come here today to Greenwich to have a think about what this country used to be, what it represented, and what it can become. Because, of course, Greenwich was here at the very height of Britain's naval power. And that wasn't just about winning the Battle of Trafalgar. It wasn't just about building the biggest empire the world had ever seen. It was also about a Royal Navy that spent decades at huge cost driving slavery off the high seas.
It's no mistake that he's mentioned the Royal Navy and slavery. What Nigel Farage is beginning to do here, and will do more so throughout this video, is reset the baseline. We're constantly told that white people, British people, people of the empire, colonialists, are all part of the problem. And what we've ended up with is dastardly billionaires who are all racist.
We have an enormous amount of our past to be proud of, and yet our education system, under both of the last governments, now teaches our kids to be ashamed of the past.
Teaches our kids to be ashamed of the past. Incredible, isn't it? Essentially grooming children to think that their past, which they have absolutely nothing to do with, is their fault.
Well, the first thing a reform government will do is make sure kids are taught correctly about our history. But if you look behind these magnificent buildings, you see Canary Wharf. You see the 21st century. And not just traditional stocks and shares and bonds, but there's a whole new world developing. A world of cryptocurrencies, a world of AI, a world of digital assets. And neither the Conservative nor Labour parties seem to even understand this world in any way at all.
Such a good point from Nigel there. In order for our economy to grow, we have to almost do the exact opposite of what Rachel Reeves and this Labour Party are doing. Also, we have to understand what the growth markets are. We never hear anything about the growth markets from Keir Starmer or Rachel Reeves. Straight away here, Nigel's identified what they are, in his view, and what he might do about them.
Let me promise you that we do. These are the technologies of growth as we head forward in this century. But none of it can be done unless we produce our own energy, lots of it, and at cheap rates.
Again, energy, spot on. Sovereignty with energy, low price energy. The whole of the UK economy relies on it. You cannot do anything without power.
And because of fanatical net zero policies, we're literally being left behind. 1 in 7 of you own a digital asset of some kind, yet the government, the authorities simply don't seem to care. And that's the point. We need change in this country, real change in this country. And if we go on voting for the same old parties, I promise you, nothing will change. Think just in the last few days of the El Fatah case. Here's a guy that's come out of Egypt, come back to Britain, who's put out just the most abominable, hateful tweets about killing Jews, killing white people, fighting the police. And this man was given citizenship by the Conservative Party and welcomed back into Britain by the Labour Party.
Again, another brilliant point from Nigel Farage there. The 100-year convention, the two-party 100-year convention, is dead. And the Al Fatah story proves it unequivocally. The idea that the Tories would approve his passport and then the Labour Party would celebrate his arrival, given everything we know, is astonishing. Utterly astonishing.
Frankly, there is little to choose between the two. We're the people offering hope. We're the people offering change. And 2025 showed you, with those county elections, which we won comfortably, what we are capable of. As we look forward to 2026, we have a massive set of elections. The whole of Scotland, the whole of Wales, all 32 London boroughs, county elections, thousands of council seats all over the country. And yet what are we now seeing? We're seeing a Labour government saying to those councils, if you want to cancel the elections, in some cases for the second year in a row, you can do so. And already, East and West Sussex, controlled by the Conservatives, have said, thank you very much, we'll cancel the elections.
I don't think people realise, enough people should I say, realise just how important what Nigel Farage is telling us there. There is no valid reason, no true valid reason to postpone these local elections in the way that they are being postponed. And the idea that within a democracy the ruling party in a council can decide how long their term is by its very nature authoritarian, totalitarian, in fact.
That is the kind of authoritarian country that we are now living in. They're even beginning to take away our right to vote. Well, they'll cancel some, but most of those elections will go ahead. They will be the single most important set of elections between now and the next general election. I'll make this prediction. If Reform win those elections, if we come top, it'll put us way ahead of the other parties. Already we've led for 175 opinion polls in a row. Our average lead is 10%. If we get this right on May the 7th this year, we will go on and win that general election. We will then absolutely have a chance of genuinely, fundamentally changing the whole system of government in Britain. We may well be the last chance this country has to actually restore some proper values, those of family, community, country, the ones upon which I based this party when I founded it in the very beginning. But we cannot do this without you, and you will not get the change you want without us. So let me ask you one thing. Please make it your New Year's resolution to do something. Support Reform, join Reform, go out and spread the message that we are the party of hope, we are the party of change, and we are, genuinely, the last chance for Britain.
Well, a hope-filled, stark but inspiring message there from Nigel Farage. Something that when you juxtapose against what you saw from Keir Starmer a few minutes ago are miles and miles apart. But I will say this, I'm still disappointed that Nigel Farage wasn't direct enough about the key problems. We've seen the Ipsos polling. We know by some considerable length what the biggest issue is. And I think still Nigel Farage is holding back because he's still fearful of being called racist. It's always the accusation labelled at Nigel Farage, and for years and years and years it's stuck. Now I think, from my personal perspective, he can shake that off now. It's going to be tough initially. He's going to say, I don't care about being called racist. He's going to say, look, at the polls, this is what people are concerned about, and this is what we need to do. So, I think if he wants real change, he's going to have to be slightly more brutal, and he's going to have to really stare the problems face down. But on the whole, a very positive and inspiring speech, I thought. Okay, so we've heard from the person in charge, and we've heard from the person polling most popular in the country. Now, believe it or not, the Green Party under Zack Polanski is polling at anywhere between 10 and 12%. So they do have a voice. Let's see how in tune they are with the people of Great Britain.
I'm on the ferry coming back from Calais. About 50 of these journeys happen every single day. Waved my passport and through I went.
First of all, that's no mistake that he's shown the old Great Britain under European rule passport there, the old purple-red passport. That's no mistake whatsoever. The only mistake he made was he held it upside down. The plonker.
I'm really aware, though, I've spent the last few days with lots of people who do not have that privilege. And they're trying to make this crossing.
So we see straight away that his core issue, his top priority, is the antithesis of what the people of Great Britain have said. Their biggest concern is immigration. His biggest concern is that there isn't quite enough and that we should allow them in. To the point, he's saying that there's no other choice.
Because they literally have no other choice. The images and video you're about to see won't centre...
By the way, won't centre the voices. I'm pretty sure what he meant to say was won't censor the voices. What a knob.
The voices of the people who I've met, and that's for deliberate reason to preserve their dignity. But I do want you to see some of what I've witnessed over the last few days through my eyes. I'm telling this story on Christmas Day for a reason. So often I ask you to like and share videos, and I appreciate that. But Christmas Day is a day when most people, not everyone, are around other people. So gather around. because there's a story you need to hear about what's happening in Calais, and it's the complete opposite to the misinformation and lies we are fed every single day. People often say that France is a safe country.
People often say that France is a safe country. Because it is?
And sure, if you're a British citizen going on holiday to Nice, I'm sure it's lovely. Calais is not a safe place. Some of the things I've seen over the last few days will stick with me for a long time.
Mate, you should have a look around London and parts of Birmingham, Leicester, Derby, Rotherham.
I want to talk to you about wood. People need wood when they're sleeping outside. They need to burn it for heat and make sure that they're drying their clothes in waterlogged conditions. But there isn't enough wood in Calais, and so volunteers spend hours and hours sourcing pallets, chopping them up, and then distributing to the people who are in need.
By the way, the music, a Christmas tune, played in a childlike manner. That's not a mistake either. They know that the people they're appealing to need to be spoken to as if they're children. First of all, they need to be made scared. And then they need to be spoken to softly by the tit whisperer.
But then you have the police who come along every 48 hours without warning.
Every 48 hours without warning. Is this guy thick?
They slash people's tents, they evict people from the site, and they take their wood. The people watch, they stand aside for 10-15 minutes, and then they return to the same site. This time though, it's even more decimated, and again there is no wood. They spend their time rebuilding, looking for more wood.
Shit the bed. Wood is a big issue.
They eventually get it, and the police come round again. It is a farcical, deadly cycle that everyone is involved with, and we're funding it. The UK government is giving £476 million over a 3-year deal for the militarisation and securitisation of Calais.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount of money that is not solving any of the problems. I agree, Zack. But what do you think about it, me old mucker?
We should be diverting that money to a humanitarian and compassionate response. Because the rhetoric we hear about stopping the boats and smashing the gangs, none of this is working. In fact, there's evidence that this whole performative cruelty is actually pushing up the price of boat crossings, and we know that the boat crossings are rising. People told me over and over again,
I don't know what to say actually.
stay in Calais, and were not allowed to leave. So why did I ask you to gather around and to hear this? Because this has to stop. The constant political rhetoric and demonisation of people who are just trying to survive.
Again, notice the tone. This has to stop. How stupid are the people buying this stuff? The gullibility, don't even know if that's a word, is off the scale.
In unimaginable living conditions. I don't believe that we're the country that the media paint us to be. I don't believe that we're cruel.
These are economic migrants. These aren't people fleeing anything. These are economic migrants. We know, we've spoken to them. Patrick Christie's on GB News, the only news channel that has gone and really spoken to them, have been told they are coming here for the benefits. Cash!
And we're heartless. And I don't believe if people saw what I've seen over the last few days, they would turn away. I realise some of this can be an unusual Christmas.
He hasn't shown us anything in this video so far, not one thing, and he had every opportunity to do so. Anything that shows us why this is some harrowing situation for them. There's piles and piles of clothes and bags, which they've had to dump because they can't take it on the boat. They haven't got enough wood to keep warm. And the police are policing them. Well, they're not doing a very good job, actually. I mean, he calls it militarisation. There's nothing militarised about any of this so far. I think he's just talking absolute nonsense. But the trouble is, not only is he trying to convince people to believe it, I think he's trying to convince himself to believe it.
But actually at the heart of all of it is compassion, kindness and humanity.
The three most divisive words used by the political left in the English language.
And whether you're religious or not.
Zack, you don't want anybody to be religious. You are performatively Jewish. You're not actually Jewish, though, are you? Because of your support for Hamas. You really wouldn't want people to be Christian because the Christian values would drive them so far away from your politics, you wouldn't exist. and you performatively believe that supporting Islam will be your route to success, irrespective of what that religion is doing to the rest of the great British population.
I think that's something we can all do more of in 2026. Really want to give a shout out to Calais Appeal and all the volunteers and staff who do incredible work. You will see the crowdfunder attached to this video. Whatever you're doing today, Merry Christmas.
The only political leader that has asked for money. They're always taking. They're not giving. This whole video, there's nothing about giving in this. Take. And that's exactly what they will do from the great British people. And they are heading further down in the direction that nobody is interested in. The very antithesis of the number one problem facing the people in the UK, according to the people in the UK, is illegal immigration. He's saying, come on in, boys. Look, I'm sorry you had to watch that. I had to watch it, so you had to watch it too. But Zack Polanski is mad. Mad. There is nothing in that video that solves any of the problems that Great Britain and the people of this country face now. Utter madness. They're polling at 10 to 12%. I've seen one poll at 15%. We have a psychosis in this country. We have a psychosis, but at least we know where they are. And perhaps when this is all over, we can put them in a camp. Ha! I'm just joking. Of course I am. I'm not. Those are the messages that end 2025 and start 2026. Goodness only knows where we're going to end up this year. I think I know where I want us to go and in which direction, and I think you do too. But let's wait and see, because there are plenty of mental people out there. I love making these videos. By the way, I just want to say thank you so much for subscribing. My subscriber number has quadrupled since I started making regular videos. My videos are getting like 30, 40,000 views. I love making them. Thank you for watching them. Please do like, subscribe and share. Spread it amongst your friends and family. Let's spread the word. Perhaps jump across to my Substack, where you can sign up to my £5 a month subscription or £50 a year subscription. You don't have to do that. I'm not going to put my material content behind a paywall. That's just me asking you to support me if you can. Look, enjoy the rest of your day and keep it real.